What's a secret you'll never tell your spouse or so? That the reason I lost my boner that one time in 69 position, not the year, was because a piece of TP fell in my eye from her butt. Edit. Thank you so much for the awards. My first platinum is about toilet paper falling in my eye. To add some details. We do have a bidet. The TP was probably from the paper she used to dry herself after the bidet, so no pink eye for me. We have been together now for 13 years and have been married for almost 2 years. That emotionally and sexually charged night we spent sharing a bed. Drinking. And talking all night? I didn't keep getting up to pee. I kept getting up to have intense diarrhea. Edit. We did not have sex that night. One time I left my younger daughter, middle child, in a hot car and forgot she was there. My wife and my oldest daughter had gotten out and went into a theater where the oldest daughter had her dance recital. I parked the car about 100 feet away and for some reason, maybe because my wife and daughter got out, my stupid brain just decided to go into kid-free mode. To say I panicked 10 minutes later when I remembered would be an understatement. I was mid-conversation with someone and when I remembered her I just turned and ran. No explanation. I sprinted to the car. But knowing it was only 10 minutes I knew it would be okay. There she was. A little sweaty. But just sitting there and looking around. Smiled when she saw me. This memory haunts me. I frequently lose sleep or have to pull my mind off it. The thought of what would have happened and how easy it was to forget her will never leave me. Always double check for your kids, folks. Even if you think you're good or have a great memory. That sometimes I stay 10 to 15 minutes in the car before coming up the house. Not ashamed of it or something, but I like some me time to be private and not judged. Addendum. It's mostly so that the stress from outside I won't bring it to our home. Not good bringing negative energy, emotions when facing your kid at home. Remember when we were engaged and visited your mom in the hospital? And she let a fart so rank that your eyes watered and we still talk about it 20 years later? That was me. I sleep better alone than with her, she loves sleeping together. Edit. Wow. So this blew up way bigger than I was expecting. Will provide more context for my case. Although I haven't told her. I believe she suspects it. Because she has been making suggestions such as sleeping more at my place. We don't live together at the moment. Usually. We pick up 2 single-person mattresses, don't know the exact term for it in English, and push them together on the floor. We have separe blankets. I'm really sensitive to heat and hardly feel cold. Whereas her it's the opposite, she feels cold frequently. Sometimes even when I'm hot. So compromising a room temperature it's often complicated. Especially since she sleeps poorly when I turn the fan on. I believe my problem resides on 1. Sleeping in a different place, even if it's my room. It's on the floor. It's different. And 2. Temperature. If it's cold, usually it's better. But when it's hot, it gets rough. Either I get bad sleep due to heat. Or she gets bad sleep due to the fan turned on. That one time when went camping for 3 nights I left the garden hose on at home full blast and we got a $700 water bill. Every paycheck I take out $25 to $30 in small bills and slip some bills into her pockets while I'm folding laundry. Money is tight. And it's the source of a lot of anxiety for her. So to see how relieved she gets when she finds it makes me happy. That I'm the one who calls her every year and sings her happy birthday in a funny voice. If she's figured it out, she'd probably say that's what she'll never tell. Early on in our relationship, I made breakfast for my then girlfriend and her kids using some pancake mix she had in the pantry. After making the pancakes and serving to them, I went to mix up a little more to make mine. And I realized there were some maggots in the dry mix. They were pretty much done eating. And telling me how good they were. I decided that ignorance was better than telling them. Taking that one to my grave. I failed school. I had to take a basic education course before getting into uni and that it took me 8 years to graduate from a 3-year degree. That I chipped our wonderful granite quartz counter, that he picked out, and filled it with white putty. I will take this to my grave. They didn't forget to buy them at the grocery store. I, in fact, at 2 a.m., ate the entire package of Oreos. That I left the Nintendo Switch you gifted me on a bus. The Switch that you see me using is a replacement that I bought on eBay. I ate the last Reese's peanut butter egg and blamed it on one of the kids. One time I thought I locked my keys in the car. They were in my pocket. Yep. I figured out halfway through, and by then I decided to die with this secret. Sometimes I detach the ignition key off my huge keychain to make it easier, and I peeked through my car, saw the keychain, and didn't even check my pockets and just assumed I left all my keys in the locked car. Stupid. Closing parenthesis. We had to walk 2 miles to her friend's job up a hill in super cold, windy as fuck conditions. In like flip-flops and definitely not suitable clothing. And then we got a super awkward drive to her house from her friend. Then we had to drive 30 minutes to my house. Get my spare keys. Go back. And give the other dude some gas money. It took us like 2 hours, and we were both exhausted and wanting to go home at the start of it, and then I had of course to drive back and drop her off and then get gas and then go home. Lol. That it did. Actually. Make their butt look big. That I pooped in the ocean while snorkeling off of Hawaii. And that was the reason for all the beautiful fish swarming around us all of a sudden. Bon appetit, dear fish. Yes. Indeed. It was magical. I saw on the call display that the jewelry store was calling. I let him answer it. He immediately left to run an errand and came home and took me out skating. Where he romantically proposed on a frozen pond under a floodlight on a February evening. We'll be married 20 years this year. I can't tell him I knew the whole time. I just can't. ETA. We had gone a few weeks before to pick the ring out, and we had talked in depth about getting engaged. It wasn't a complete surprise. But he did want his proposal to be a surprise, and it really was special. Even though I knew. Sometimes when I shake the Kleenex outside, the spider isn't in it. How much time I spend writing stupid essays on Reddit only to delete the whole thing. That I farted and him checking the entire house as well as asking the neighbors if they smelled anything because he thought it could be a gas leak was a waste of time. I knew you were going to propose. You left an email up on the computer where you sent a ring to a friend asking her if I will like it. I immediately closed the email and went on about my day. We went on the 2-week-long trip to Hawaii. One of the days you told me to dress up and I wore this cute white summer dress. I still remember the way you looked at me. You looked at peace. We drove up the coast to the beach your friend recommended. As soon as we pull in, it dawns on you that this isn't a private beach. It's pure madness. People everywhere. I saw the look of panic on your face. I squeezed your arm and said, let's keep driving. We grabbed dinner at a mom and pop place and found the most beautiful secluded beach after. That's where you proposed, and it was perfect. I know who it is that keeps messing with the thermostat. It's me. The person that shat on the floor at her parents at Christmas and pissed everywhere in the bathroom wasn't in fact Granddad in his drunken stupor. It was in fact me. That bastard stole my bacon sandwich last Christmas. And he deserved the lecture. Even if it was for something different. I'm glad he cheated. And thought the grass was greener during my terminal cancer diagnosis. Wish he didn't lie about it. But the genuine relief that he is someone else's problem after nearly a decade is priceless. Bless. The negative thoughts I have about myself. I don't want him thinking, well, now that she mentions it. She is kinda underscore. I tell him I'm feeling down on myself or self-conscious. Just not what the exact problem is. Nice try, honey. That I know about their emotional affair. I know what's said and how minuscule I now feel in my day-to-day life. Okay, but promise you won't tell her. She has a pair of shoes that I really don't like. But she does. So I just keep it to myself because they make her happy. I actually feel so much worse, mental illness, sometimes than I let on. I am medicated and see a therapist. But it isn't always enough. He works so hard and has so much on his plate. I don't want him to feel bad because often there's nothing he can do about it. She's so much hotter than her sister. One night when my husband was sleeping peacefully, I attempted suicide in our kitchen. This was the year after I lost my mom and couldn't handle the sadness, guilt, and loneliness. The bedroom was near the kitchen and the door was open. I heard him sleep talk and he farted while sleeping. It was so unusual and funny that it made me stop what I was doing. Edit. Thank you so much for these comments. It's so heartwarming to read them. I'm holding back tears. This happened 6 years ago and glad to say that I'm in a far better place and state of mind. Thank you so much everyone. That your mom, contrary to what I've said before, is truly a boring idiot. Edit. I did not expect anyone to upvote this. Hopefully. The wife did not learn to use Reddit in the past few hours. I cheated on my ex. She was abusive to me. Insulted me. Screamed at me. Scratched me. Hit me. Threw shit at me. But I felt stuck. I reached out to a female friend of mine after an especially heavy argument where she threw an insulated bottle into my face. And she consoled me. One thing led to another. And we're intimate. After that I felt dirty. But it also opened my eyes. It felt like the ties that kept me with my abusive ex were cut. I was able to break up with her. And now found a girlfriend I wouldn't even think of cheating on. I also told that friend of mine about it and how I wouldn't want to have that happen again. To which she said she felt like I needed that to realize that there are others out there that'll give me the respect I deserve. She was right. And she's happy that I finally found home. Edit. The reason I wouldn't tell her is because her ex cheated on her twice. And I know how she'd think of me if I told her that. How we really met. He thinks a mutual friend decided to play matchmaker. Which is true. But not the full picture. A friend of mine sent screenshots of my SO's dating app profile saying, "I've just found your future husband." Some light Googling led me to discover we shared a mutual friend. I spoke to him and he played matchmaker. 6 years later. I'm never telling him that I basically stalked him first. This woman and I worked together for about 4 months before we told each other that we had mutual feeling for each other. On our third date I went back to her apartment. She asked me to stay the night. Very little sexually happened as we wanted to take it slow. In the middle of the night she rips this loud fart. I'm a very light sleeper. We've been together, married for 17 years now, and she still farts in her sleep, but I will never tell her. My wife thinks I quit the master's program at university because I was having an affair with a professor's wife. This was before she and I met. In actuality, I had to leave town because of my connection to a murder. This all happened 25 years ago. And everyone else involved has since passed away. I always think that one day he'll leave me. That at any moment he'll find another woman and leave. And he's going to leave my heart broken into 1,000 pieces just like it was before I met him. My mother-in-law came to visit us and she and my wife were home when I arrived home from work. Apparently her mother was not feeling well because she was taking her temperature. When I looked in the medicine cabinet I realized that the oral thermometer was still in the cupboard and the anal thermometer for my son was missing. They look very similar and I suggested to my wife that we needed to mark one so no mishaps would ever occur. My wife told me that I was being ridiculous. So I didn't because I know the difference between the two. But oh well. That for my 40th b-day I was pretty let down. I planned a nice family trip for her 40th and we had a separate celebration with her family and friends. I told her that she didn't have to do anything for me. Because she's forgetful type. I don't hold it against her. I love her of course. I said it just to kinda cushion the fall if she didn't plan anything. The day came and went and it was a quiet home celebration. I don't ask for much and even this I've let it slide. Honestly over time I don't even care about it anymore. But if I had to be honest it was a letdown at the time. I knocked the TV off the IKEA Kallax shelf. I was walking quickly with the laundry basket half on my hip and knocked into the shelf. TV came tumbling down and landed upside down on some shoes. I guess the shoes cushioned the fall because the TV works perfectly. My husband has told me 1,000 times to slow down so I won't bump into things. Which I do often. I will never tell him that the TV fell from 5 feet and it was totally my fault. I also accidentally popped a leg off of my mother-in-law's antique Queen Anne-style vanity dressing table. It has 7 other legs and I wedged it back in place. No one knows or ever will. That I haven't been truly happy since we got married. It's like something flipped a switch in her head after that day and she thinks she can control every bit of our lives down to the minute. The full story of past traumas. It would break his heart if he knew what's happened to me in the past. It would spark violence and vengeance in him. Poison him inside the way it poisons me. I fell in love with him for the bright light and gentle soul that he is. So I can't justify showering him with that darkness. He still heals me in his own ways. But I don't think I'll ever be able to tell him everything. Sometimes the most selfless thing you can do is gulp your pain so that others avoid suffering the taste. Her cooking isn't nearly as good as she thinks it is. Her mother was interfering in our marriage constantly. I had an appointment with a lawyer to talk over options for divorce because I couldn't stand it anymore. Then her mother died suddenly. Heart attack. After the funeral, things got better. And here we are now married for 3 decades. She doesn't need to know. I had a super embarrassing middle school obsessive crush on him when I first met him. I am D.B. Cooper. Yes. That was in 1971 and I was born in 1978. But I am just very clever. That her mother, my mother-in-law, really is a selfish, ignorant, pig-headed, helpless drain on me, her, our children, our finances and life in general. I am working very hard at pretending she isn't because I love my wife so much. It's been 35 years. It hasn't gotten easier. Don't have a spouse or so as I'm single and have been for 18 years. The reason is I found my fiancé dead in bed and have blamed myself all these years. I fell asleep on the couch and woke up the following morning. Made her a cup of tea before checking on our son who was 4 days away from his first birthday. Then I went in our room to find a sight that has haunted me ever since. At first I told myself I wanted to concentrate on raising our son. Then it just became the norm. I would tell people that I'm happy being single, but the truth is I keep imagining going through that again and just prevent anyone getting close. I let my guard down a few years back and started a brief relationship with a colleague which she initiated and seemed keen only for her to cheat and lie to me, sending me back to square one again. I tell family and friends I'm happy, but the truth is I struggle some days. Our son is 19 now and I'm dreading the day he moves out. I hate coming home to an empty house, but the prospect of getting close to someone again and losing them scares me more. When he's sleeping next to me and snoring, I'll stick a finger in his open mouth like I did just a minute ago. How much I daydream and what I think about. It's not even daydreaming. It's like full-on stories and conspiracy theories and convos in the head. ADHD is wild. Like I'll share a little, but some of it is personal and mine. Edit. A word. I put fuck on stories instead of full on and y'all just went with it. My love for fanfiction. It feels really stupid, but I don't know why I don't want to talk about it. I've been reading fanfiction for 15 years plus and sometimes write in my spare time to this day. He knows all of my other secrets. My deepest insecurities, and he's never once ridiculed me or been anything but supportive. My sex drive is way higher than his. I want it 3 to 4 times a day. And he only really wants it 3 to 4 times a month, related to meds and mental health. He knows I'm always down when he is. But he will never know how often I have to take care of myself. And it's mostly caused by him being so god dang sexy all the time, lol. That I'm sad all the time and nothing I have tried to fix it works. That I wear a mask every day to everyone. That no matter how hard I try, I constantly compare myself to others. How much I've spent setting up this saltwater fish tank. She called me crazy for spending $1,000 on lights. I am currently married to 2 people. I got married in preschool and in 8th grade. I have both rings still. Both times we had a full-on ceremony. Flower petals and everything. I remember the 8th grade one and it was really funny. Then one of my old friends got mad at me for complaining about people asking me if I was gay because I got stopped 5 times in the hall. Another old friend showed everyone the video. We got married for tax benefits for social studies. That I kinda really want some big surprise romantic gesture. Something really thoughtful and maybe even cheesy. Even if I know they're not into that themselves really. But I am. And it would be nice smiling face with tear. I don't want to ask for it outright though. Because I know it's not their thing and I don't want them to feel forced. I get shown love in other ways and I'm still happy with that. That I didn't actually like her when I said I did. But it was the best lie outcome ever. For context, one day we are playing Truth or Dare and I said truth. She asked me who I liked. And I didn't have someone, so I just said her. 4 years later, I loved the hell out of her. Edit. She recognized my username, it's my YouTube name, and I now know she has a Reddit. Are you proud of yourself, Op? Nah, she's actually really blessed. How many women I have had sex with? My fiancée is not usually jealous, but she can't cope with me having a past, so she almost exploded when she got out of me that I had like 7 when in reality I got more like 30. That I feel unloved. He is the first person I kissed and ever had sex with. He has been with over 100 people, and back when we first started dating I asked if someone could have a wrong number, slept with too many people, and he said the only wrong number was 0. Naturally I then lied and told him I had been with 3 people. He knew I hadn't really had a serious relationship before. It was never brought up again and I never owned up to the white lie. At this point I guess I am taking this one to my grave. That I throw out his old underwear with holes in them. I buy him the same pair of new ones. And I just take the other ones out. He's never questioned it, but I'm sure he knows. That I'm sick again. I don't know what it is, but I'm being tested. It's not cancer. That was ruled out first. Since I'm a survivor. The doctors think it's autoimmune disease but have no idea which one. I have thyroid issues and intestinal issues, from the cancer, but this is not related to that. I don't live with my so. Been with him 11 years and he's amazing. But I know if he finds out, I won't be able to do anything myself. He will be too worried about my health and overreact. I know he's worried. He's asked why I am so thin and if I'd seen a doctor, etc. I just don't want him to worry. If it was lethal, like cancer, he'd know. Right now? No need to concern him. I shat myself when I was sick last year. In the bed. Nobody has to know about it except for the stain on my PJs that I blame on a period. She's only my girlfriend. But I gaslight her to feel better about herself since she was in a very abusive and manipulative relationship for 9 years before we got together. If we need to clean up her apartment, bathrooms, kitchen, car, etc., I usually wind up doing most of the work, but when she thanks me for all the work I did, I'll respond with something like, "What are you talking about? You did almost everything. I was just kind of there." The way she feels like she took care of herself and gains more confidence in her abilities. Whether it's wrong or not, it seems to be working. I had his mom removed from my room during labor. We don't have a great relationship and she showed up without asking. Overnight bag and all. Said she was staying the night with me in the room. I had been in labor about 20 hours at this point. The nurse mentioned I looked unsatisfied about it when everyone stepped out. She said, "I'll get it taken care of if you want," and I agreed. She made up a lie about how after 10 p.m. they don't allow visitors in the room and it was best so my body can be relaxed to not have company. It worked. She stayed in the lobby all night. I know you're only with me because you've settled down. I know I'm just the safe option. I tend to just sit in my car for many hours at a time. Last week, I used an entire half a tank of gas just by idling for hours at a time. My girlfriend knows this, but what she doesn't know is why I do it. I have severe PTSD from seeing horrific deaths, being abused in group homes, being abused in mental hospitals, and being made fun of my entire life for having mental health issues. The only way I can handle it without going absolutely insane is by sitting in my car, listening to music and relaxing. Sounds weird, right? Well, my car isn't just any car. I got it from my aunt. And she was the one who took care of me as a kid when my dad was absent, which was every day. She took me for drives every week in that car to get me out of the house. And to get ice cream with her and my cousin. This car also has memories of me and my grandpa working on it together. Since it's my first car and I wanted to modify it a bit along with repairing some stuff on it. That car holds so many special memories and it all comes flooding back when I sit in there. So I feel a whole lot better when I come inside my house or when I call my girlfriend. It's a coping mechanism. But I don't want to tell my girl because I don't want her to worry about me. Once, to my eternal shame, I told a secret to the internet that I'd never tell my spouse or so. I found your pile of used contact lenses under the dresser next to the bed. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.